mamamayan ng bayan. Ito ang Balitang Piso.
Pampahayagang maaasahan, isinisiwalat ang katotohanan.
Sa ipapawid saan man, oras mo'y hindi panghihinayaan.
Isang mapagpalang araw, Pilipinas. Ako si Alinor Macalimbol, ang inyong tagapagbalita.
Ako si Lori Piwalar, ang inyong kaagapay.
His second journey to Europe in Hong Kong. Back to this native land on the night of Rizal arrested. In Dapitan, Rizal was placed under watch of Warden Captain Carnicero from July 1892 to July 1896. Revolution was planned in Manila in 1896 by the Katipuneros. Blumentritt suggested to Rizal to volunteer his service to the Spanish government and join the forces as physician in Cuba. The outbreak of the Philippines Revolution took place. Rizal sailed for Barcelona, Spain on board of the steamer Isla de Panay on September 3, 1896. Rizal reached Barcelona as a prisoner on October 2, 1896. Rizal is back to Manila for trial. The court-martial of Rizal, the council dictated the sentence to Rizal. Rizal was shot. The propaganda movement, Katipunan, exile and execution. Filipino in Europe gather regularly to share news from the Philippines and discuss over a banquet. They are the illustrados from the Philippines who lead the fight for political and economic reform in their country. Among them is our hero, Jose P. Rizal. Filipino were exposed to liberal ideologies through their education and exposure to European liberal ideologies. Despite their efforts, they were not taken for granted by the Spanish government. History tells us that they have not succeeded to ease the suffering of the Filipinos, and some of them resorted to violent means of independence. To those who invoked to peaceful reform were called intelligentsia or evil. They make a plan for peaceful, and this initiate was called propaganda movement. The movement was labeled as a culture organization that formalized in 1872. Their members identify as a propagandist or reformist in the both Philippines and abroad. The objectives of this propaganda are the following: recognition of the Philippines as a province of Spain, equal status for both Filipinos and Spaniards, Philippine representation in the Spanish Cortes, secularization of Philippine parishes, and recognition of human rights. To launch these objectives, they conduct regular meetings. The propagandists could be divided into three groups. First, include the Filipinos who have been exiled to the Mariana Island in 1872, after being implicated in Cavite Mutiny. After too many years in Marianas, they proceed to Madrid and Barcelona because they could no longer return to the Philippines. The second group consists of ilustrados in the Philippines who had been sent to Europe for their education. The third group was composed of Filipinos who had fled their country to avoid punishment for crime, or simply because they could not stand Spanish atrocities anymore. Still, not Filipino living in Spain were members of propaganda movement. 1889, Graciano Lopez Haina founded the La Solidaridad newspaper in Barcelona. The newspaper served as the instrument of propaganda movement. Moreover, Intelligentsia Ilustrado recognized the brilliance and conviction of Jose Rizal. Thus, he was recognized as the leader of Seaside on Association La Solidaridad. These are the following names of identified members of propaganda movement: Jose Alejandro, Anastasio Carpio, Graciano Lopez Haina, who published of La Solidaridad, Marcelo H. Del Pilar, the editor and co-publisher of the La Solidaridad, and wrote under the name Plaridel, Eduardo Delete, Antonio Novicio Lona, who wrote for La Solidaridad under the name Taga-Ilog. Juan Novicio Lona, the painter and sculptor. Miguel Moran, Jose Marie Pangiliban, who wrote for La Solidaridad under the name Humapa. Pedro Ignacio Paterno served as Prime Minister of the Philippine Republic. Mariano Ponce, who wrote for La Solidaridad under the name Tikbalang. Antonio Maria Regidor, Isabelo Jr. L. de los Reyes, Dr. Jose P. Rizal, the author of No Limit Hungary in El Filibusterismo, wrote for the La Solidaridad under the name Laon-Laan.
Sa mga detalye, narito si Ana Marie Ramirez.
The Katipunan, Exile and Execution. In 1887, Rizal went back to the Philippines after 5 years of academic conquest in Europe. His intention was to check on the growing illness of Doña Leodora and see his girlfriend Leonora Valenzuela, and to find out the impact of his Nolimi Tangere. His mother, Hava Katorak, was not yet matured for operation. Liner was nowhere to be found in the Noli Indeed has brought an impact but was banned to get published in the country. Noli was in charge of gathering information and grievances from Calamba tenants. The controversies over the Noli were sparked by the order of Gobernador General Emilio Terrero, which infuriated inferiors against Jose Rizal. Rizal Nolimi Tangere was in charge of the friars who accused him for slandering the Catholic Church and spreading subversive ideas. Pasiano never let Rizal out of his sight and stayed close to him for safety. Rizal left the Philippines for the second time in 1887 on the advice of the Governor General and had a vision that he could freely write and work for the propaganda abroad. Reporting, Ana Marie Viramil.
Thank you, Ana. For the next reporter, Lea Andres, Rizal's second journey to Europe and Hong Kong, back to his native land. Reksada mo!
His second journey to Europe was both productive and challenging. He finished annotating the Morgas successos de las Islas Filipinas, contributed essays to La Solidaridad, and published El Filibusterismo.
On the other hand, there were times when he was broke and undernourished in Ghent. During the publication of El Fili, when he challenged Antonio Luna to a duel and another with Wenceslao Retana in Madrid, when Panganiban died, when Leonor Rivera married, when Nelly Bus's parents turned down his marriage proposal, and when he was in a leadership rivalry with Marcelo H. del Pilar, left the propaganda movement and quit writing for the newspaper La Solidaridad. Gloomy moments were when he was broke and undernourished in Ghent during the publication of El Fili. With all this sad experience, Rizal decided to leave Europe for Hong Kong in 1891. In Hong Kong, he lived a mundane life as an ophthalmologist. He authored the constitution of his plan, La Liga Filipina, to continue his aspiration for reform. He never bid to forget about his personal mission for the country. Consequently, with this drive propelled by Dilete, on May 1892, Rizal decided to return to Manila. In his mind, he has to accomplish the establishment of La Liga Filipina in Manila. Confer with Governor General Despujol regarding Borneo colonization project, proved to Dilete and some critics that he never abandoned the countries. Back this native land, Rizal created the La Liga Filipina on July 3, 1892 at the home of Doroteo Ungjuku, M.H. Pilar's brother-in-law in Tondo, Manila. Many patriots were present, including Andres Bonifacio. Rizal was arrested 3 days after the Liga was created on suspicion of possessing Pobos frails, poor friars, leaflets. They were purportedly discovered in the pillowcase of his sister Lucia. The leaflets were a mockery on a wealthy Dominical friars who had amassed vast fortunes in defiance of their professed vow of poverty. The friars were interested in Rizal since his writing were satires on the friars of the time. The claim was refuted by Rizal, but to no avail. He was then apprehended and transported to Fort Santiago, where he was held in custody. Andres Lea reporting.
Thank you, Leia. on the night of Rizal arrested. In the Pitan, Rizal was placed under watch of Warden Captain Carnicero from July 1896. Patrick Ivan Lacinario, bandera mo!
On the night Rizal arrest, on July 6, 1892, Dr. Jose Rizal was ordered arrested by Governor General Eulogio Despujol on charges that anti-friar pamphlets were found in luggage of his sister Lucia, who arrived with him from Hong Kong. He was immediately placed under arrest and escorted to Fort Santiago, the decree deporting him to an island in the south. From July 6 to 14, 1892, Rizal was in a state of incommunicado. The steamer left Manila, sailing southwards through Mindanao and Panay. The same night, July 17, 1892, Rizal began his exile in the Pitan. He lasts until July 31, 1896, or a period of 4 years. In the Pitan, Rizal was placed under watch of Warden Captain Carnicero from July 1892 to July 1896. He was immediately placed under arrest and escorted to Fort Santiago, the decree reporting him to an island in the south. The Pitan City is the most well-known for being the place of exile of Philippine national hero Jose Rizal, and a third-class component city in the province of Zamboanga del Norte, Philippines. According to the 2020 census, it has a population of 85,202 people in the area. On September 21, 1892, the Pitan's mood burst in hectic excitement as the mail boat Butuan brought the news about Rizal in winning lottery. In the past, this is the lottery ticket looks like. Total lottery prize, 2 million pesos. Rizal's share allocation, give to his father, 2,000 pesos, to his friend Basa, 200 pesos. Allocated for investment, 4,000 pesos. Rizal's total share, 6,200 pesos. Rizal never drank hard liquor and never smoked, but he is addicted to lottery. Every month, he always investing 3 pestas in lottery tickets. Pestas is the Spain currency between 1896 and 2002. During his banishment, Rizal lived in a pretty simple life in the Pitan. He also built an informal school where he taught several children. Rizal also had patients who went looking for him to get healed. He is also fond of doing agricultural pursuits. This is Patrick Ivan Lacinario reporting.
Kunting kaalaman mga kaibigan, alam niyo ba kung ano ang paboritong almusal ni Dr. Jose Rizal? Ang paboritong almusal ni Dr. Jose Rizal ay isang sardinas sikas na kung tawagin ay tuyo na may kasamang mainit na tsokolate. Revolution was planned in Manila in 1896 by Katipunan. Blumentritt suggested to Rizal to volunteer his service to Spanish government the forces as physician in Cuba. Alinor Macalimbon, balita mo.
In order to solicit Rizal's favor and ask for his permission, they sent Dr. Pio Valenzuela to the Pitan. He brought him a blind man, Raimundo Mata. To camouflage his true intention, Rizal was strongly opposed to aid plan. As for our hero, people are not yet ready to engage into a bloody revolution, inasmuch as there were no sufficient and arm and the knowledge of the people on military warfare is still crude and they are unskilled. Learning that revolution broke out and there was a raging yellow fever, epidemic and physician to the needs of Spanish troops was in shortage, Blumentritt recommended to Rizal legal opportunity to end of his exile. As a result, Rizal wrote a letter to Gobernador General Ramon Blanco. However, months passed and he received no response until he gave up the idea. On July 30, 1896, he received a letter from the Gobernador General accepting his offer to volunteer as physician. Also written in the letter was a notice to politico-military commander of the Pitan to give Rizal a pass so he could return to Manila. Rizal was waiting for steamer that will take him to Spain.
It was on August 19, 1896 that the Katipunan plotted to dispose of the Spanish government through revolution. The Spanish conspiracy was discovered by Father Mariano Gil and Agustinian friar of Tondo. On August 6, 1896, Andres Bonifacio and Katipuneros raised the cry Balintawak that agitated the discovery of their intention. Hence, at dawn of August 30, Bonifacio and Jacinto lead the attack of San Juan but end up with heavy losses. Gobernador Blanco then proclaimed state of war in the 8 provinces: Bulacan, Cavite, Batangas, Laguna, Pampanga, Nueva Ecija, and Tarlac. While staying in Crucier, Castilla, Rizal read the news about the outbreak and Rizal noted 2 reasons of his reservation. The violent revolution, which is sincerely believed to be premature and would only cause much suffering and terrible loss of human lives and property, had started, and it would arouse Spanish vengeance against all Filipino patriots.
It would arouse Spanish vengeance against all Filipino patriots. Alinor Macalimbot reporting.
Kunting kaalaman mga kaibigan, alam niyo bang may itong bayan sa Pilipinas na ipinangalan kay Dr. Rizal? Ito ay ang Nueva Ecija, Cagayan, Laguna, Zamboanga del Norte, Occidental, Mindoro, Kalinga at Palawan.
Rizal reached Barcelona as prisoner on October 2, 1896. Rizal was imprisoned in Montjuïc Castle under the jurisdiction of former General Eugenio Vespucio as the military commander of Catalonia. Several days later, an officer informed him that a newspaper in Madrid held him responsible for insurrection in Manila.
On the same day, he was transferred to steamer Colon bound to Manila. Upon learning the predicament of Rizal, Dr. Antonio Marigidor and Secto Lopez were an English lawyer named Mr. Fort in Singapore to settle the immediate release of Rizal when the steamer carrying him reaches to country. Hostily, the lawyer worked on request and claimed to Singapore Court of Justice that Rizal was illegally locked up in the steamer. However, the complainant was not acted upon by the Singapore judge because the steamer was carrying Spanish military bound to Manila, which is technically makes the steamer a foreign warship.
Rizal was back to Manila. Immediately, Rizal was brought to Fort Santiago. He was not permitted to see his family and acquaintances for a few weeks. He was tried with accusation against him.
His brother Pasiano and several Filipino patriots were brutally tortured in order to gather evidence against him. On November 20, 1896, a preliminary investigation into the accusation leveled against Rizal was begun. Colonel Francisco Olive, the judge's advocate, accepted his statement. Charges were laid before him, and he answered every question that was asked to him. He was not allowed to face those who had testimonies against him. In addition to the testimonies, several papers were presented to back up the accusation. Colonel Olive delivered the preliminary investigation report to Governor General Ramon Blanco, along with a letter appointing Captain Rafael Dominguez as judge advocate to initiate the proper actions against Rizal. Dominguez took 2 days to review the case, and he concluded, "The accused is the principal organizer, the moving spirit of the Philippine insurrection, founder of societies, of newspaper, and has written books designed to foment ideas of rebellion and the sedition among the people, and the principal leader of anti-government movement in the country." Blanco then decreed and passed the case to author General Nicolas de la Peña.
Rizal was given the privilege to choose his defense counsel from a list of army officers, the first and second lieutenants who vice to him. I am Lori Willard, reporting.
Thank you, Willard. The court-martial of Rizal. The council dictated the sentence to Rizal. Rizal was shot. Robelin Ronquillo, ipahayag mo.
The council dictated the sentence to Rizal. Dr. Si Rizal should be condemned to death and in case of pardon will bear life imprisonment and subjection to vigilance for life and shall pay the state of indemnity 100,000 pesos which shall be passed on to his heirs for satisfaction in accordance with the article.
Rizal sat on a bench with two soldiers. He is calm and dignified in appearance. He was accused of rebellion, sedition, and illegal association. Attorney Alcocer, the prosecuting lawyer, enumerated the charges against him. The defense delivered by Don Andrade with a reminder to the judge to be just and avoid vindictiveness when making decision. The word vindictiveness is a strong desire of defense. Rizal was provided supplementary defense as requested by the court.
The council dictated the sentence to Rizal. Dr. Si Rizal should be condemned to death and in case of pardon will bear life imprisonment and subjection to vigilance for life and shall pay the state of indemnity 100,000 pesos which shall be passed on to his heirs for satisfaction in accordance with the article.
On 20th of December, the decision was approved by Governor General Polavieja. The order was to shoot Rizal at 7 o'clock on December 30 at Bagumbayan.
Rizal was shot. He requested the commander that he be shot facing the squad but denied of Dr. Felipe Ruiz Castillo.
Fuego means fire. Was heard, gunshots roared. It was 7:03 in the morning when he died in the bloom of manhood. Dr. Felipe Ruiz Castillo took Rizal's pulse and found that it was normal. Rizal was 35 years, 5 months, and 11 days.
His last words were consummatum is, which means it is done, like what Christ did in his last breath. Ronquillo Robelin reporting.
Maraming salamat, kapwa ko, taga-Balita.
At yan po ang aming natanap na mga balita dito sa totoong mapagkakatiwalaang istasyon ng bayan. Balitang Piso!
Muli, ito ang inyong tagapagbalita. Ako si Lord Piwalar.
At ang inyong kagambay, Alinor Makalimbon.